Shabbat Shalom.
How are we doing?
Shabbat Shalom.
Giving y'all the praise. How are we doing?
Shabbat Shalom.
How are we doing?
Shabbat Shalom.
How are we doing?
Shabbat Shalom.
Blessed Shabbat day. Can you give y'all the praise? He will give you strength to endure all of the tests and the trials you are going through. Oh yeah. He will give you strength to make it through another day.
Shabbat Shalom.
How are we doing?
Shabbat Shalom.
How are we doing?
Shabbat Shalom.
How are we doing?
Shabbat Shalom.
Blessed Shabbat day. How are we doing?
Shabbat Shalom.
How are we doing?
Shabbat Shalom.
How are we doing?
Shabbat Shalom.
Blessed Shabbat day. How are we doing?
Shabbat Shalom.
How are we doing?
Shabbat Shalom.
How are we doing?
Shabbat Shalom.
Blessed Shabbat day. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. How are we doing?
Shabbat Shalom.
On this fabulous day.
Shabbat Shalom.
How are we doing?
Shabbat
Are we
Shalom.
giving y'all the praise? How are we doing?
Shabbat Shalom.
How are we doing?
Shabbat Shalom.
How are we doing?
Shabbat Shalom.
Blessed Shabbat day. Can you give y'all the praise? He will give you strength to endure all of the tests and the trials you are going through. Oh yeah. He will give you strength to make it through another day.
Shabbat Shalom.
How are we doing?
Shabbat Shalom.
How are we doing?
Shabbat Shalom.
How are we doing?
Shabbat Shalom.
Blessed Shabbat day. How are we doing?
Shabbat Shalom.
How are we doing?
Shabbat Shalom.
How are we doing?
Shabbat Shalom.
Blessed Shabbat day. How are we doing?
Shabbat Shalom.
How are we doing?
Shabbat Shalom.
How are we doing?
Shabbat Shalom.
Blessed Shabbat day. All right, Baruch Shabbat, brothers and sisters. Let's see, on this blessed Shabbat. All right, Baruch Shabbat, brothers and sisters. We got this microphone over here again. Let me just kind of put it over. Okay, sorry about that. Prayerfully, everyone is doing well on this blessed Shabbat, and on this, is it hot today? We haven't been outside yet. It's still early on the eastern seaboard, but the humidity appears to be lifting and across the land, so that's a relief for a lot of Israelites and non-Israelites. All what was I getting ready to say? Alike, I guess. But everybody's happy that the humidity is starting to lift. Of course, we know this is what happens around this time of year. As we go on to the downside of the summer solstice, and towards the end of the month, this month, the 8th month, which is the 10th, which is actually the 8th month, which is the, is that right? Yeah, the 8th month. But then they flip the script. That's another lesson. But the 8th month, and as we go towards the end of the summer solstice, the humidity tends to lift. The days are still hot, but the humidity, especially up here, up on the eastern seaboard, northeast, central east, northeast would be New England, up further north. So I am fully rested. I rested a good night last night because this week was kind of, I went back to rising early in the morning like I used to do, and so needed to get I had some well needed rest. On yesterday we had, it was supposed to have been, it was a memorial service, I should say, for a Morey who goes by the name of Rabbi Raymond Stansberry, and we was going to attend, but on last evening I called on our way there and asked about they were having a viewing earlier in the portion of the day, and I wanted to make sure that the body wasn't going to be there, but they said that they, as far as they knew, the body was going to be there, so we were unable to attend. So prayerfully it all went well there, and they had my issue. She was so excited about seeing some people we hadn't seen, but I wasn't trying to be there on the Shabbat. You know, that's just my comprehension as far as to the book of the law pertaining to defiling the Shabbat for the dead. So so we didn't attend, but we sent our condolences to all those that were in attendance, those that were there, and for specifically to the family that lost our beloved brother. He was only 60. What did I say? He was 62, 64, 64. He was 64 years young. So we're going to go ahead and open up in prayer, and then we'll greet the family. Baruch atah Yahweh Eloheinu melech haolam. Father, thank and praise and bless you for this blessed Shabbat that you've allowed us to see. We come before you in the name of Yahshua Mashiach, who came to 42 generations to enable us to be engrafted back to the olive tree. We do praise and thank you. Give you honor for this day that you have made. Shabbat Shalom, that you have given us, as we say, we have coined now Baruch Shabbat. We pray that you would give us the words to say on this Shabbat and this lesson, that it would be a uplift and a builder up of your family on this day throughout the nations. We give you praise, give you honor, and YAHSHUWAH Mashiach. We say hallelujah, 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 Torah, amen. The title of the lesson today is Can a House Divided Stand? Can a House Divided Stand? So this lesson is more connected to our family, the purpose of the family, part 2. I guess we could say the purpose of the family, part 2, right? Because as Israelites, and I really see this as one of the mistakes that I made. And so I like to try to share my experiences to help people, right? Because a lot of times when people come into the knowledge that they are Israel, and one partner in the household is not quite embracing, or maybe skeptical, or maybe they're just satisfied with their religious ideology, their religious mindset, where they are. Because some people have had experiences in their religious affiliation, and it could necessarily, I'm not going to necessarily just talk about Christians. I'm going to talk about Muslims too, because we have some people that didn't come through Christianity. They Muslims, and Most High dealt with them through a roundabout way in some cases, where they got the word maybe through a video they saw on YouTube, or maybe they saw somebody in the supermarket with fringes on, like Moray Josiah and Coat Tonda. They may have seen them in Chicago at the Cubs game with their fringes on, and they're like, what is that? Why do you have that on your jersey? That's a testimony, right? So some people have come that way, right? Through some, for lack of a better way to express it, divine connection, right? Okay, so I'm going to say Baruch Shabbat to Kahana, and Baruch Shabbat to Akot Sherry. I don't know if you got a Hebrew name yet or not, but Akot Kahana Yah gave us her name 2 weeks ago. Was it 2 weeks ago, I guess? And Moray Irvin, and to Aunt Tresky, and Akot Cynthia, and Eliah Stone, and to Akot Catherine. Baruch Shabbat to you all, and prayers to the family, to your family, your local family there, and pray that all is well with everyone that's tuned in that haven't chimed in yet. So back to what I was saying. So when we have come into contact, and I've used myself as an example because I can talk about myself without getting in trouble, right? Okay. So you came in contact with, and whether it was a revelation, whether it was you heard a voice, in my case, right? And me not being in contact with Israelites, knowing what a Hebrew Israelite was, I didn't know it was a group of people that I seen people on the street that were, now that I know, I look back and I say, oh, they were Hebrew Israelites. I didn't know what they were. I didn't even listen to what they had to say for the most part. I saw them on the corners, you know, because I wasn't one of them kind of people that I was going to just go and confront them like Vocab Malone tries to do. If I saw somebody on the corner back in those days and they was preaching whatever they was preaching, if it was something positive and it seemed like that they was benefiting the community, I didn't bother them. They doing their thing, you know. So I can see why a lot of people might think that we are Muslims if they don't listen to you or talk to you or have a conversation. I can see why, because most people, when they see us on the street and they see us with fringes on, they see us with our head wrapped and different things, or we wear the skull cap, it doesn't dawn on them that, oh, they're Hebrew Israelite. Now, because of the awakening of YouTube and the various different camps that are out on the streets doing that, people have come accustomed to the terminology Hebrew Israelite. So, but most people, when they see us, right, they know you was raised in the church, right? You was a minister. My wife, in her case, she was an ordained elder in her was it interdenominational or was it non-denominational? Interdenominational. Okay. So, you know, and then you see other people that talk different, maybe dress different. And in Christian evangelism, they always try to feel like that I need to witness to them. Right? And sometimes they tend to equate us embracing the covenant with bondage. Baruch Shabbat, who's that? Jason? Good to see you, my brother. Shalom, shalom, Shabbat, shalom. So with that said, so a lot of times one person in the household will come in contact with something somewhere along the line. Maybe you was fasting, maybe you was praying, maybe you was reading, maybe you heard something that the pastor said, and then you investigated. You said, wait a minute, I didn't know that was in the Bible. And then you started digging and further, and you made this contact here, you made this contact there. You heard somebody else say something that agreed with your spirit. Next thing you know, now you're like, Then you heard somebody say, we the children of Israel, the people of the book. You said, I can believe that, right? So now you have embraced a portion of the covenant, first starting with identity in some case. Some people started with the Shabbat or the Sabbath, right? You was tested or questioned about the seventh day. That was how I began years ago, before I even knew I was an Israelite. My first introduction to the covenant was the Sabbath. And let me just do this here real quick, just kind of as an intro. And just to kind of show you that many people came into the knowledge that they're Israelites by just simply reading. Some people didn't hear a camp on the street speak, right? So let's go to Genesis real quick. Let me see where I want to go. I think Genesis 1. Genesis 2. Okay, so let's do that real quick. Let's go to Genesis 2. Let's see how I can do this here. I'm trying to experiment a little bit with let's see, is that too small? Let's see, let's blow this up here real quick. Okay, that might work. Let's see. Let me know how that looks. If that's good, if that's clear. Let me know how that looks. Okay. All right. So it says here, thus the heavens and the earth were finished, and all the hosts of them. And on the seventh day, right? This is what I read. On the seventh day, right? Ended his work which he had made, and he rested on the seventh day from all his work which he had made. And Elohim blessed the seventh day, and he sanctified it, or set it apart, because that in it he had rested from all his work which Elohim created and made. So when I read that from a young child, because we never really read the Old Testament. Some of y'all came out of that circle where you just carried the New Testament. You didn't carry the Old Testament, because we're not under the Old Testament. We're under the New Testament now. So why carry around the whole big Bible with the Old Testament in it, right? You're under the New Testament, right? Okay. So when I read that, I was like, the seventh day. And then I went and looked at the calendar, right? And I saw that the calendar, the first day was Sunday. So I was a little bit confused. I was like, well, if the Bible said, remember the seventh day, and we doing everything that we big enough to do on the seventh day. My mom was going to the mall shopping, right? Back to school shopping, right? On Saturday, we sitting at the mall, right? It's hot outside around this time of year, you know, and she's buying clothes for us, back to school clothes. Everybody having cookouts on Saturday out in the park, right? The swine is roasting, right? And everything was done on the seventh day. So I started scratching my head. I was like, wait a minute. If the Bible says remember the seventh day, and Sunday is the first day, so then Saturday must be the seventh day, because if there's 7 days a week, we learned that in school, right? Didn't we? The seventh day must be Saturday. So, if the Bible says remember the seventh day, why are we keeping the first day of the week? Why are we disregarding the seventh day, right? So now, Baruch Shabbat to you, Kima. Good to see you, my brother. So if we have one family member, right? And let me say, I'm gonna try to be as respectful, because this is a real soft topic, sensitive topic. 2 people in the household, right? And I'm gonna talk real talk right now, right? So I might kind of use some language that you can relate to, because I know you have 2 different people who might be viewing this right now on 2 different sides of the pole. Okay. You're married to a husband or wife, or vice versa. That spouse now embraces with Israel, right? And now they go full speed ahead. I mean, they start chiseling out, eating swine and catfish and working on the seventh day. They start honoring that seventh day, right? They stop participating in all of the holy days, and they started keeping the feast of Yah. And that now you knew deep down your heart that they loved the Lord. And now that person now has took a turn down the road. And you can't comprehend that person, because they took a turn down the road. Y'all was praying together. Y'all was in the church together, loving the Lord together. And now this person came in contact with something, and now they went this way. And now you confused. And see, it's one thing when that person goes this way, right? And they leave you alone. But no, That person that have gone that way, now they have been empowered to feel like they can evangelize you to where they are. Are you following me now? So now, Houston, we got a problem, right? We got two people in the house who love the Lord, right? You love Yah. They love the Lord, and they feel like that you have been tricked into a cult. Oh my goodness. Am I talking to somebody this morning? So now they can't comprehend why you went from this to that. And that has caused a division in the house. It's caused a division in the house. You stop using the Lord, God, and Jesus, right? And now you started using Yah, Yahuwah, Yahweh, Yahweh, YAHSHUWAH, YAHSHUWAH, YEHSHUWAH even. That spouse is looking at you like you've gone mad. All right? They're trying to comprehend where you are because you went from one extreme to the next 100 miles an hour, full speed, right? Now, the problem that you have is not solely on the fact that you got a new revelation. But the problem comes in when now you take that belief and you start trying to feed it to them. Now you're getting resistance because their ears are not completely open to hear and to receive. They might hear what you're saying, but the enemy will come and cause a stagnation between the two in the same household. And then what will happen is the enemy will tend to make you an enemy against each other. And then you'll begin to look at that person as a devil, especially if you embrace the covenant. Anybody been there? You might not vocalize out your mouth, but in your mind, the devil is using them. The same spouse that you married, that you went down the aisle with, and you said, I bear you, and I promise to love you, to cherish you, to keep you in sickness and health and better for worse until death do us part. Now you got a difference in your belief system that's now pushing you in total different directions. So you got a house that's divided, right? Now you're asking yourself the question, right? You go and you seek a moray, ask him, do I have permission to leave my spouse? They're not in the truth. Let me tell you something. That's the biggest mistake you can make. Because if we suffer, right? If we live the life before the unbeliever, you can win them. Right? So sometimes we want our loved ones to get it, and sometimes we try to force it on them. I've been there. And in trying to force too much, you're turning them off and you're driving them further away. Why? Because you're coming at it from a confrontational perspective, for lack of a better way to express it. Now you're constantly fighting against each other because you want them to get it so bad, and they resisting you because you making me feel like that everything that I believe has been a lie. That's a painful thing for someone to feel that their spouse feels like that everything that you believe was a lie. I had somebody ask me that one day. I said, "You mean you tell me everything that I believe was a lie?" And I said, "Yes." That's like putting alcohol on a fire. You can't win nobody like that. I've learned down through the years that you have to kind of spoon feed people in your immediate space of truth. I'm not as radical as I used to be around family. Those that are interested in knowing anything about what I believe, if they ask me, I'll tell them why I do what I do. They might not agree. It's just like with the memorial service for the elder, family member who never got back with me, and maybe they got busy, whatever. But I asked them about whether or not the body was going to be in the sanctuary for the memorial service, since it's on the Shabbat, because I'm adamant about being obedient to Yah's covenant. So that person may not have been, because see, here's the thing, when you're a Christian, right, your whole mindset is that we're not under the law. So you can't come at a Christian with the law, because you're already going to have resistance. That pastor from week to week is telling them, you're not under the law. We're under grace now. And now you sitting in there telling them, I don't eat pork. I don't eat shrimp. You know, those are the main things that begin to bother people. You mean tell me I can't eat what I want to eat? I'm grown. So you already lost people right there. So now, your love of your life, the one you walk down the aisles holding hands, you know, swinging from the chandelier in love, drunken in love, now it's become your enemy because you embrace the covenant. And they like, what in the world has happened to you? So now you're in a house where, and if you agitate the situation, that person will do things intentionally to aggravate you because you aggravated them. The law of sowing and reaping works. So if you sow that spirit or that action towards that unbeliever in your perspective, because to them, you ever thought about it like this? They consider you an unbeliever because you're trying to keep the law. Okay? So now you're trying to win this person. You're trying to convince this person that what you're in is not a cult, that this is your love, the love of your life, right? Now, there's so much chaos that you don't even want to go home because you want to serve Yah. So you're willing to abort your whole family because of your newfound comprehension of the covenant, right? When if you live the life before that person, you don't have to, man, I'm telling you, I wish I had somebody teaching like this to me years ago. I could have saved myself a lot of trouble. You don't have to beat the person over the head. If you live the life, right, that person's going to respect you. Or if they don't really, if they're not with it, it really bothering them, they might leave. Not that you want them to leave, but I'm just saying this is how it works. If we live the life before the unbeliever, right, and we be dedicated and faithful to Yah and be respectful to them, you just might win that person, right? Okay. So, you got a divided house. You want to put a Christmas tree. He want to put, or she wants to put, the spouse wants to put up a Christmas tree. I'm delivered from pagan. Now you got another war. Because remember, all these holy days or holidays that the world embrace comes around. And that's where the division takes place. Because they want to keep Christmas and put Christmas trees up and presents and toys because they want to bring the family over and they want to show their love. They want to have a Christmas dinner or Thanksgiving dinner, all of that, right? And you don't want to do that because you now see that as breaking the covenant, right? So you're going to have division in all of that, right? Okay. So can a house divided stand? That's a good question. All right. Now, let's open up with this. Let's go to Matthew's, right? Matthew's chapter 12. And let's read. Let's start at verse 22. Verse 22, all right? Then was brought unto him one possessed with the devil, blind, dumb, and he healed him, insomuch that the blind and dumb both spake and saw, right? And all the people were amazed and said, is not this the son of David? But when the Pharisees heard it, they said, this fellow does not cast out devils, but by Beelzebub, the prince of devils. Right? And YAHSHUWAH, knowing their thoughts, said unto them, every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation. That's profound right there, right? I'm gonna speak on that in another angle, but it's relevant to the local house that we're trying to build, but it's also relevant to the house of Israel. All right. So every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation, and every city or house divided against itself shall not stand. Okay. And if Satan cast out Satan, he is divided against himself. How shall then his kingdom stand? Verse 27, and if I by Beelzebub cast out devils, by whom do your children cast them out? Therefore they shall be your judges. But if I cast out devils by the Spirit of Yah, then the kingdom of Elohim is come unto you. Or else, 29, how can one enter into a strong man's house and spoil his goods except he first bind the strong man, and then he will spoil his house? Right? So y'all remember in Christianity, you say, I bind the devil. We made a cliche out of that passage, right? Satan, I bind you. We all did it. I came out of Pentecostal, brothers and sisters. Nobody cast out more devils than I did in the streets, on the street corner preaching. So don't think I don't know about that. All right. Now, so I want to go back here. It says verse 25, right? It says, YAHSHUWAH knew their thoughts and said that every kingdom divided against itself shall be brought to desolation, right? Let's see. Hold on a second. Hold on 1 second. No, I want to deal with this here, right here, where he said, when they saw YAHSHUWAH casting out the devils, right? They downplayed him. That's what I want to look at. They downplayed him. They said, isn't this the son of David? That's that jealousy, right? If you embrace the covenant, if you're an Israelite, Hebrew Israelite, son or daughter covenant, whatever title you choose to embrace to lay upon yourself, right? Because a person doesn't is not a part of your camp, doesn't mean they're not in the truth. And that's the division, because see, the enemy has made us, the Hebrew Israelite movement, a divided movement, when we all are supposedly keeping the same covenant, supposedly following the same king, and supposedly following the words of the Almighty. But yet we have all these divisions among us as a people. And sadly, some camps tell people, they use this passage. I'm gonna do this, what they call precept. They use this passage here. Let's go to something that Paul said, right? That's why you got to be very careful with the teachings of Paul, because people use what Paul says when it's advantageous to them to use it, right? All right. It's Romans 16:7. Okay. Romans 16:7. All right. You know how they do. Romans 16:7. Bring it out. Now, beseech you, brethren, mark them which cause divisions and offenses contrary to doctrine which you have learned, and avoid them. Okay? See that? So, what is this saying? Is this saying, mark them which cause division and offenses contrary to the doctrine which you learned from your camp? Right? Or mark them which cause division and offenses contrary to the doctrine that we received of Yah. There is a difference. Whatever I teach, my doctrine that I teach better line up with the doctrine of Yah. Otherwise, I am the instigator of division. As nice as I may try to be, and as sweet as I may try to word it and phrase it, if I'm teaching against the doctrine of Yah, the precept, it's contrary. So you can't build off of something that's contrary to the precept. That's why we have to comprehend the precept of Yah, because if we don't comprehend Yah's precept, we'll fall for a concept. And it will become indoctrinated and endowed with conception and not preception. See, when we connect it to precept, we can see error and we can say, nah, brother, that doesn't line up with Torah. Right? Because when we line up with Torah, oh, that's it right there. I hear it now. When we line up with Torah, that eliminates division. See, when we take Torah, bits and pieces of Torah out and extract them, right, and make doctrines that we call precepts, it creates a contradiction, of the precept, because you can't take something out of the precept to make a doctrine, because that doctrine now becomes a concept constructed by an organization or a group of people who has the intent of building their movement off of that construct of that concept that they now call a precept. So when we follow the Most High's precept, that in itself will eliminate the division. It's when we talk about all these different added things, we change things around. Me and Maisha talked about that last night. We major on the minors. Who is Esau? How is that congruent to you developing your spiritual walk? Know who Esau is. Or know whether the Holy Spirit is a woman. How is that productive and congruent to you developing who you are, or who you've been called to be, and you know who Esau is? Right? So the doctrine that what Shaul was saying, marked them, which caused divisions and offenses contrary to the doctrine which you have learned, right? Paul didn't create his own doctrine. And if there is anything that he said that goes contrary to Torah, then you need to get a magnifying glass and look at it and see, is that what the precept is? I always say that. Precept is not taking a verse here. I'm giving you precepts. Precept is always going back to pre, means before. Right? So before the world was formed, Yah had, or I should say, let me say it properly. Before the world was formed, Yah has, because he's always in the present tense. Yah has a plan. So since Yah has a plan, his plan is the precept. So when he made man and brought man into his space, and now man became a part of his precept. But the enemy came in to cause man to change from Yah's precept to a concept which has now been reinvented as the precept. And so your precept might not be my precept. Right? So because your precept is not my precept, that precept has now caused division in the house. And now we're trying to reach out to Israelites, and the first thing that the Christian apologists say is that Hebrew Israelites is divided. They believe a lot of different things. Why is that? Because we've made precepts, we've made concepts, and turned them into precepts out of the precept. And therefore that precept has caused a division, right? So now, when we see what Paul said here, right? People use this to now, because you are going against my camp doctrine, which is the precept, I'm going to avoid you. Oh, see, we can make that spiritual too, in the house, in your physical house. Because a husband and a wife, you're grabbing a hold of the precept. When your spouse says that we're not under the law, they have now made a concept a precept. Watch yourself now, brother. And now Christianity has become the precept, and Hebrew Israelite has become null and void in their eyes. So now I'm trying to get you into the precept, new covenant, right? So can a house divided stand? Right? So for that house to stand, right, we have to have the house built on a sound foundation, right? You take away Torah, you lose the foundation. You got, as I said, I'm going to keep saying it, you got a concept that you call a precept. Let that marinate for a second, right? Have you been sold a concept and you've been made to believe that it's a precept? All right. So I beseech you, brethren, let's go back in, that you mark them which cause division. Now let's look at this word division real quick while I'm there. You mark them which cause division. The word division is the word disunion, right? Or dissension. That's heavy. So if you want to find out whether or not a person is teaching a precept, that's why we say this is elementary. This is Hebrew Israelite 101. Whatever you hear in the second half of the book that the world calls the New Testament, always go back to the precept to see where that lines up with the precept, because you just might have a misconcept of the precept. That's why we go back to the precept, because the precept is the foundation for eliminating division. Now, when that person is not willing to go back to the precept, right, you just got to back away. Because if they're not going to hear the precept, they're not going to hear you. They have their mind fixated, as the old folks used to say. Their mind is fixated that what they believe is right and what you believe is a cult. Leave it. Live in peace, right? Something that Paul said. Let me back up here for a second. Let's go to Paul again. Okay. Is it Paul said that? Is it Paul? Maybe not Paul. Okay, I'll read a couple different things that came up in my search, but the one I was talking about was Hebrews 12. Let's go to Hebrews 12 right quick. All right, Hebrews 12. Hebrews 12. Let's read verse 13 and 14, okay? Hebrews 12 says, and make straight. Let me back up. I'm right in the middle of the thought. Let me see. Let's go up to. Hold on a second. I gotta get to the right spot where I want to be. Okay, let's just read 14. It says, follow peace, right, with all men. Follow peace with all men. You see that? Follow peace with all men, right? All men means what? What it says. So if you live in a household where there is division, right? Follow peace. Right? Tell that spouse, I know we're on two different levels of our belief. I respect where you are, but this is where I am. Can we respect each other's space? That brings unity. Even though you have different beliefs, but you respect each other's belief, right? One is going to win out over the other. But if we exercise one of the fruit of the Spirit, which is long suffering, right, we just might win over. But if we give up and quit, it said, let us not be weary in well doing, for we shall reap in due season if we faint not. But if you faint, you have that loved one in your household that you're trying to win into this walk. Endure. What did Shaul said? Endure like good soldiers. Right? Something like that he said. Okay. Now let's go back in. So he said, follow peace with all men, right? Because my goal is to live peaceable with among others, that I might win them, right? So, like we did a lesson about a month ago on the doctrine that one of the biggest camps in the Hebrew Israelite awakening teaches, right? We are teaching against the doctrine, not the people, right? We're showing from Torah, because Torah is the precept. And unless we comprehend that Torah is the precept, no one's going to have an ear to hear what you got to say, because they're not looking at Torah. As a matter of fact, some Israelite camps are like Christians in that regard. They hold dear to something that Paul said more so than they do to what Torah says about thou shalt not abhor an Edomite. I saw a brother put a post up on Facebook this week. I got a confession to make. I abhor an Edomite. He didn't know that he was total opposition to the precept with just that statement alone. So he went on to try to justify his right to hate Esau. Right? But here the people say that Paul was, they don't know who the writer of Hebrews was. Some say Paul was, some say it was Barnabas, different thought process of who. But regardless of that, he says, follow peace, right, with all men, right, and holiness or set apartness, without which no man or woman shall see Yahuwah. Right? So in other words, it's interesting how they equate following peace with set apartness. So in that house that's divided, right, that house could have peace in it, right, if there is a mutual respect. You serve Yah. Don't change your plan, and don't change your walk to compromise with the conception. But you can stand your ground with respect. And ultimately, you can win, right, that person that you're trying to win with your chase conversation. We talked about that a few weeks back. We want to beat it into people. I want you to get it down. We don't want to suffer, right? We don't want to be long suffering. We don't want to be patient. We don't want to exercise the fruit of the Spirit. We want to see it now. We want instant gratification. If that husband don't move when you want him to move, we go crazy. I'm leaving you. Well, Hebrew Israelites don't do that. Right? So, if we follow peace, following peace means if you know that irritates your companion, you know you walking, serving Yah, you dotting every I, crossing every T, and he's not or she's not. And following peace, every opportunity you get, you pounding him with. That's not following peace. Because it is the peace, watch this now, that Yah allows you to have, right? That will encompass the whole house, and the whole house will be full of peace. So now, let me go somewhere real quick. I had a thought. Let's go to Philippians, right? Philippians 4 and 12, I think it is. Let's go to Philippians 4. We're going to walk the dog with Paul for a minute, all right, if we may. Philippians 4 and 12. That's what I want, I believe. Let me back up a little before I get there. Let's go. This is good stuff here. Okay. Let's start verse 4, right? Philippians 4:4. Rejoice in Yah always, right? Not sometimes, not when you're feeling good, not when your spouse is in agreement with you. We walking in this covenant together. But rejoice, right? Before Yah always. He says, and again, I say rejoice. Let your moderation. That's something we lack in today, moderation. What's that word, moderation, brother pastor? Moderation, it says, an appropriate that is mild. Mild. Calm yourself. Calm your spirit. That moderation, he's saying, calm your spirit, right? When you're in the midst of a loved one and you want them to get it, your spirit is not calm sometimes. Your spirit becomes, it's just overwhelmed. You feel like you got to evangelize the whole world. Anybody felt that, like you got to evangelize the whole world? You know, I used to feel like that. But I've grown. Okay? But he said, let your moderation be known unto all men. Right? Let your moderation be known unto all men that Yah is at hand. See, when people see the change in you, right? When people see the change in you through the moderation, and you just believe. See, an Israelite that's walking in Yah's covenant ought to have peace in their mind. You know, Yah got it. I'm not stressed. They had a saying when I was in church, I'm too blessed to be stressed. Right? I don't know if they still say it or not. I'm too blessed to be stressed. All right. How come I can't see my comments? Hold on a second. I want to see my comments. Okay, Baruch Shabbat. Who's the YIM? Baruch Shabbat. I don't know if it's a male or female, but it looks like it's a female from the picture. Bless Shabbat. Shabbat Shalom to you, Koti, I guess. All right, let's go back in now. All right. So let your moderation be known unto all men. So that spouse that you live with is included in that, all men. Let your mildness be known when people see that, you know what? They walking in the truth, but they are so mild. They're not forceful. They're walking in peace. See, when people see you operating in the fruit of the Spirit and they see you not confused and not full of fear and, I don't know what I'm going to do, right? That's like a magnet. You know, I'm driving now for a living and picking people up, right? It's like a magnet. People get in my vehicle, they can feel something. People just start talking. I had a Japanese guy just started pouring his heart out to me. A Mexican guy just started pouring it. Just tell him. He said, I don't know why I'm telling you all this stuff. He said, but he said, I feel like I can talk to you. I had that one time that I tried to indoctrinate anybody in that ride. Right? So let your moderation be known unto all men that Yah is at hand. So when they see you walking in the peace of Yah and you walking in moderation, right, it should be like a magnet that draws people to you and they want to know, right? See, when you walk in the room and people resist you, maybe your moderation is not being made known because people are going to be attracted to you, right? I go places and Gentiles, I get it all the time. They'll be holding the door open for me. They go out their way to. Do y'all experience that? It's because I'm learning to live in a new space now where I'm learning now to let my moderation be known that even those that are without, when they see Yah, they automatically know I'm supposed to hold the door for him. I even had females, Gentile females, hold the door for me. I'm like, I'm supposed to hold the door for you. You the female. I'm the gentleman. No, I want to hold it for you. Why? Because when Yah's moderation is on you, that moderation that Yah put on you is going to bring everybody in your space are going to feel it without you saying a word. All right. So he says, let your moderation be made known unto men that Yah's in hand. Here's the kicker right here. He said, be careful. We're going to walk this one real slow. Because can a house divided stand? You hold the power to that house standing. You don't have to believe the same way, but you are the sanctifier of that house, right? Let me show you something while I'm there. Hold that thought. We'll come back to Philippians 4. Let's go to Romans 7 real quick. I want to read something here. Hold on a second. Okay, it's Romans 7. Hold up a second. I'm going to go directly to the verse because I want to get back to Philippians. So it's Romans 7. No, wait a minute, hold on. That's not it. Hold on a second. Now I'm drawing a blank here. Let's do this here. Oh, I see what's going on. I'm looking for the verse where it talked about the unbeliever is sanctified by the believer. I know exactly where it is. Okay, hold on a second. Is it Romans 7? Hold on a second. Let's do it this way. The unbeliever is sanctified by the believer.
According to Bible.com, for the unbelieving husband is sanctified through his wife, and the unbelieving wife is sanctified through her believing husband.
That's why I couldn't find it. It's 7, but it's 1 Corinthians. All right. So 1 Corinthians, let's read the 1 Corinthians 7:14. We're going to get back to Philippians because I want to finish my thought there. Okay, but this just came into my mind, so I want to hit it. So Philippians first, this will help somebody. Okay, 1 Corinthians 7:14, right? Okay, 1 Corinthians 7, right? 1 Corinthians 7. 1 Corinthians 7. 1 Corinthians 7. And what she say, 14. Okay. Start at verse 13, all right? And the woman which have a husband, right? That believe not. Underline that part there. The woman which have not a husband that believe not, and if he be pleased to dwell with her, let her not leave him. For, here it is, the unbelieving husband is sanctified by the wife, and the unbelieving wife is sanctified by the husband. Else were your children unclean, but now are they kodesh. How about that? Right? So, what are we saying? Paul nailed it, right? Don't give them an ultimatum. You're going to serve y'all. You're going to take that tree out of here. You're going to take that pork out of here. Or we going to go our separate ways. You just killed your influence. Easier said than done, I know. Especially when your emotions is involved, right? But here's Paul said something that was so profound and good. He said, the unbelieving husband is sanctified by the wife. And the unbelieving wife, brother, Hebrew Israelite, Aki, you want an excuse to leave your wife because there's division in the house. Right? That's not a way out. We had good counsel, strong counsel of Israelites, right? Anytime your camp leader is making your wife out to be a devil because they don't believe like you believe, and they have been indoctrinated with falsehood their whole life, and they making you give her an ultimatum. You're out of order. You become ineffective, right? So the unbelieving wife is sanctified by the husband, right? Now, here's the difference, right? What Paul said, look at the next verse, right? Now, we're not serving Yah with the intense purpose to drive a person away. We want to win that person. That's our goal. But I'm going to maintain my ground. I'm going to serve Yah. I want you to come under, but I cannot refuse to serve Yah. Right? It's a little different if it's the woman in the house of a man, because the man is the head of the household, than it is. But then at the same token, if the man is the one that's in the truth, right? Right? You have to use wisdom, right? Come to an agreement, okay? Some kind of way. Sit down, have a conversation, honey. I know you want to put up a Christmas tree for the grandkids, and that's an opportunity. You sit down and I'm beating over the head and show her why. And then you have to offer a solution. Educate the kids. Teach the kids the truth. Train up the child in truth. And then the children might say, Daddy, we don't want a tree. It might be that mommy want the tree, or it might be that daddy want the tree. Somebody want the tree, Right? Kids say, we don't want the tree. We don't want Santa Claus. We want you. You already won. Okay? Now, what excuse is the mom or daddy going to have when the kids say we don't want that? If you explain it to them, properly, right? All right. So now the next verse he says what? He says, but if the unbeliever departs, right? Let him or her depart. Notice what it didn't say. It didn't say give an ultimatum. It said they depart, let them depart. Right? A brother or sister is not under bondage in such case, but Yah have called us to peace. Right? So, verse 16 says what? For what knowest thou, O wife, whether you can save your husband? Do you know whether you can save your husband or not? Or how know you, O man, whether you can save your wife? Right? Do you know that you can save them? You don't know that, right? So we live the life before those that are without, right? Without beating them over the head and making them feel like that they the devil because they're not embracing this covenant like I am. Or living the life before them, exemplifying what it means to be in moderation, serving Yah, so that I can have peace in my house, so that now this house that's full of chaos, even though we have a difference of belief and comprehension, but we still can walk in peace in the house. That's some heavy stuff right there. That's good wisdom right there, right? Good advice. All right, now let's go back to Philippians, okay? Can a house divided stand? You answer that question, right? Now let's go back to Philippians, right? All right. Verse 16. Here's the thing. This is going to help to keep that divided house with peace. We already went through the steps of telling you how to have peace in the house through what? Moderation, right? Okay. I might give you a little bonus. I'm going to give you a little bonus after this. It's going to help you out. All right. Now, verse 6. Be careful. Be careful. Okay, let's look at careful real quick. Be careful. Right. The word is merineo. Be anxious. Right? It says to be anxious. Have an anxiety attack. Oh, I just want them to get it. They're not getting. Don't be anxious. Because anxiety will cause you to respond emotionally. And that emotional response just might kill the influence that you're trying to have over that loved one who is an unbeliever. So don't be anxious. Don't be anxious. Be careful, right? For nothing. Right? But in everything by prayer. That's it. You sisters believe in praying. Some brothers don't pray. And that's a whole different lesson, because what Christianity had taught us praying is not what prayer is. It is a concept of prayer. How do we know that? It says somewhere in the pages of the book, I can't remember who it is. It says, man ought, I think YAHSHUWAH said it, to always pray and not faint, right? Let's bring it out. Bring it out. All right, where is it at? Man ought to always pray and not faint.
According to Bible.com, Luke chapter 18 verses 1 to 25 KJV.
Right.
And he spake a parable unto them to this end, that men ought always to pray, and not to faint, saying, there was in a city a judge, which feared not God, neither regarded man.
Okay.
And there was a widow in that
Got
city.
it.
And she came unto him,
I
saying,
got it.
avenge me of mine adversary.
I got it. Okay, you can stop. I got it. So that's Luke 18. He says, men ought always to pray. How can you always be on your knees? How can you always be walking the floor? If you are supposed to always pray, that means prayer must be something besides just a position. That's a whole nother lesson. Prayer is not a position, but prayer is an attitude. Ooh. Let me say that again. Prayer is not a position, but an attitude. I better write that one down. That was fresh right there. It's like a plane, right? A plane has an attitude that causes it to have an altitude. So when the plane takes off, the attitude of the plane enables the plane to rise to where it gets to a height to where it can now have an attitude. So prayer is like that. Prayer is an altitude, an attitude rather, that produces an altitude. Somebody better get a t-shirt and write that one down. Prayer is an attitude that produces an altitude. So when he says men ought to always pray, you can't always be in a position. Right? You got to be in the attitude of prayer, because the attitude of prayer also includes peace. The attitude of prayer also includes moderation. The attitude of prayer also includes believing that what you are praying for will come to pass. That's the attitude of prayer. That attitude of prayer is when you quiet and when you're hearing the still small voice that tells you to be quiet. Shh. Study to be quiet. It's a great price to be quiet. Right? A meek and a quiet spirit can give you an attitude to cause you to have an altitude. Man, woo! that thing is feeling good to me right there. Let me get back. Man, I'm telling you, woo! All right, let's go back to Philippians. Be careful for nothing, right? But in everything by prayer, right? And supplication. So now we got another level. I did a lesson years ago, I'm talking about years ago, on the types of prayer. I think it was 7 levels of prayer. I always do things 7. I think the lesson was called 7 levels of prayer. 7 levels. I gotta see if I can dig that lesson out. 7 levels of prayer. Okay. So one of the levels is the word prayer. Okay, let me just break it down real quick. Let's go back and look at it. Everything by prayer. So prayer is it says worship, right? A prayer is a worship, right? Or it says an oratory, right? Okay, so that's the first level of prayer, is an attitude of worship, because you can't come before the king looking for a result without the proper attitude. James said what? Let not that man think that he shall receive anything from Yah. For a double-minded man is unstable in all his works. So when you come asking, believing. So when you worship Yah, you promise me that you're going to do this. I'm married. I'm in a house full of division. We fighting. The kids recognize it. The dogs are fighting now. The cats fighting now. The birds is everything is out of control. But you promised. And I thank you. That's the attitude of prayer. The first level is worship, recognizing and realizing that he's up there and you down there. YAHSHUWAH said, when you pray, say, Our Father which art in heaven. That's the first level of prayer in bringing the peace in the home, that you can now live in a divided environment. When you pray and you say, Father, I adore, worship, and praise you. You are my king. You are my leader. And I expect you to bring my house to an altitude of success. Don't be anxious about it now. So let's get back in. So now he says, everything by prayer and by supplication. So this is the next word, right? That's the petition, right? So when you pray, you're asking the Most High, you are petitioning Yah. Now, our petition has to be connected to precept. If your petition is not connected to precept and you're praying to Yah on a concept, then you just might not get what James said. You pray, you have not, because you ask that you may consume it upon your own lust. Right? Let's read it real quick. Or go to James real quick. All right. Let's let Google help me find it. You ask amiss that you may consume it upon your own lust. All right, 4 and 3. Okay. Let's go to James 4 and 3. All right. All right. Let's amplify this thing, and we'll come back to Philippians. All right. Here's the kicker. Oh, this was in my prayer this morning. I've been up since about 3 o'clock because now I'm back on the early morning schedule, sitting and laying in the bed. Jacob said it like this. He broke it down. Can a house divided stand? He's giving us the answer. He's showing us how we could bring unity in a divided house. It's possible. It's hard, but it's possible, right? Let's go in. From whence come wars and fightings among you? Why is there a war in my house? Why is it that me and my spouse can't get along, right? Where are the wars and fightings come among you? Why is there a war with this camp against this other camp, right? Why is there a war with the Christians versus the Hebrews, right? Or Muslims? Jehovah's Witness, Seventh-day Adventists, right? Why wars come among you? Come they not hence, right? Even of your lust that war in your members, right? So the lust is warring in our members because the lust is in the flesh. The flesh is the senses of man that dictates to man what that man desires on the inside. And in most cases, in many cases, that desire goes against the spirit. So if we walk in the spirit, we will not fulfill the lust of the flesh. But if we walk after the flesh, the real you is going to die. And the flesh is going to take charge. So, let's get back in. He said, you lust and have not. What's that word for lust? I mean, we're not just talking about sex. He said, you lust, the word epithomeo, to set your heart upon. You long for. Right? You lust. You have not. Right? You kill. And desire to have and cannot obtain. See, we get that flesh under control, right? Those feelings, those emotions that are controlling and leading us down the path of destruction. When we get those things under our belt, we operate in liberty and freedom and peace. But when those passions have empowered our inside man, we can't have peace nowhere. You can smoke all the reefer you want. You can drink all the alcohol you want. You won't have no peace. It comes a time when alcohol stopped working and smoking marijuana stopped working. You ever see a person smoking a joint going like this? Hebrews don't smoke joints. I'm sorry. All right, let me get back. Where was I at? Okay. He says, you lust, you have not, you kill, you desire to have, and you cannot obtain, and then you fight. That's a good one right there. He said, you fight. Why are you fighting? Why are you fighting every day? You're fighting against the thing that you want to see come to pass. You're fighting. Why? Because you're in the flesh. Your flesh has got control of your destiny. Oh my. So you're fighting and you can't obtain. You fight, you war, yet you have not because you ask not. Right? Verse 3, you ask and receive not, because now he not only did he say you have not because you ask not, then he said, well, you did ask. You said, well, y'all, I did pray, I did ask you. But why didn't I get my prayer answered? And what y'all say to that? All right? He said, you ask and receive not because you ask amiss. That you may consume it upon your five senses, your lust. So can a house divided stand? Only if we walk in the precept. See, this precept of spirituality supersedes whether you believe in Torah or not. This is what Torah teaches us to do. This is just the amplification of Torah, right? When we operate in Torah, we should be operating in what Yaakov is bringing forth. Because that's what Torah is designed. See, Torah has become a legalistic mentality in most Hebrew Israelites' mind when Torah should be what? A life-giving instruction that brings peace, that brings love, joy, all of the fruit of the Spirit in your presence. And others that are without can come into your presence and they can be healed by your fruit of the Spirit without you saying a word. Let that marinate for a second, right? All right, let's go back in. He says, you ask, you receive not because you ask amiss, that you may consume it upon your lust. Then he gonna go and say something that's gonna make somebody mad. You adulterers. You adulterers and adulteresses. Now stop for a second, right? What's an adulterer? A person that's married that hooks up with another person that's married. That's what an adulterer and adulteress is. All right. So notice how he equates that all of the fleshly appetites with adulterer and adulteresses. Let's go back in now, all right? So he says, you adulterers and you adulteresses, know ye not that the friendship of the world, right, is enmity with Yah. So the fruit, the friendship, when we pattern our way after the world, when we watch things on TV and we try to live out what we see on TV in our personal private space, and we begin to love these reality shows that dictates to us how we should live, or how our husband thinks, or how our wife thinks, and now we become adulterers and adulteresses, and now the house is divided. He says, you adulterers and adulteresses, know ye that the friendship of the world is enmity with Yah. Whosoever therefore will be a friend of the world is the enemy of Yah. Stop there. If your friendship with the world makes you an enemy of Yah, what does that mean? You can't have the promises of Yah if you are his enemy. Because the blessings is upon the friend, right? Not the enemy. So when you walk in disobedience, you are now walking contrary to Yah, who has benefits. Oh, bless Yah, oh my soul, and forget not all his benefits. But when you are his enemy, you get no benefits. See how that works? So whoever is a friend of the world is an enemy of Yah. Now I'm going to tie that with 1 John. 1 John, Yakanan, right? Hold on a second. Love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. Okay.
According to Bible, King James Version, love not the world, neither the things that are in the world.
Okay.
If any man love the world,
Got you.
the love of the Father is not in him.
We're going to read
For
that.
all
1
that is
John.
in the world, the lust of the flesh, and the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life, is not of the Father, but is of the world.
Google little word, don't you? 1 John 1. What is that, 1 and 15? 1 John 1, right? No, she said 1. That's not 1 and 15. Where is that found? Oh, 1 John 2 and 15. Okay, all right, 2:15. 1 John, if in your spare time, read 1 John 1, 2, and 3. Whew, that's heavy. That's Torah amplified. 1 John 1, 2, 3, that's Torah amplified when it comes to our relationship with humanity, right? All right, now let's go to, 1 John 2:15. Go to 1 John 2, right? Okay. Here we go. 1 John 2:15 says, love not the world, right? Neither the things that are in the world. If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him, right? So now, let's break it down. What is loving the world? I'll make it real simple as possible. Even the blind can see it. Loving the world is loving the things that Yah hates and doing the things that Yah said not to do. That's loving the world. That's it. That's all you need to know. No further. So when you try to make excuses, right, for you in your personal space to serve Yah, then you love the world. There's no other way to put it. I can go to another place and prove it to you. You say he know him and keeping not the commandments is a liar and do not the truth. Okay, now let's see. So he said, for all that's in the world, the lust of the flesh, right? What's the flesh? The five physical senses. And the lust of the eye, right? There's what you see, and the pride of life. Because when we embrace the world, we are motivated by what we see, right? And what we feel, right? And that in turn causes us to become prideful in our mind. And a person that's prideful will not change. Why? Because they are fixated in their mind that my way is right. Especially if they have made some accomplishments in life. But you can't take those accomplishments to the grave. When you die, they stay right here and you go down. So much for pride, right? So he says, go back in. For all that's in the world, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eye, and the pride of life is not of the Father, but is of the world, right? And that's not to say that you can't enjoy nice things. I'm bougieistic. I like nice things. Nothing wrong, you like a nice thing. But when you love in the world at the expense of your divine purpose and call to be a servant of Yah to humanity, that's when you love the world. Right? So he says, the pride of life is not of the Father, but of the world, and the world passeth away. That's what I just said, right? You're not taking that stuff to the grave with you. When you die, all your finery is going to be left behind for people to fight and squander over. The government might seize it, take hold of it, take your real estate, your property, your $3 million home, your $12 million yacht. The government going to take it. Kids might fight and kick and war over that. Who going to get this yacht? And they in court back and forth battling. We're going to sell it then. We're going to sell it for $6 million. We're going to lose $6 million because I don't want you to have it. Have mercy. Go back in now. For all that's in the world, lust of flesh, lust of the eye, and the pride of life is not of the Father, but of the world. And the world passeth away, and the lust thereof. But he or she that does the will of Yah abide forever. So when you do the will of Yah, right? Even if you didn't accomplish nothing now, you should want to accomplish something now. But if you don't, if you serve Yah now, if you eat crow now, when you want to open your mouth and cause division and chaos in your home, I'm going to eat crow, you just might sit on a high seat in the kingdom and have all of that you desired on this side of the millennial. But because you couldn't keep your mouth quiet, you want to, you might be a servant in the kingdom. So, can a divided house stand? All right. Let's go back into, I said we're going to use some bonus footage. I got 5 minutes. But let me go back and let's finish up with Philippians, right? Go back to Philippians 4. So it says to be careful, right? For nothing, but in everything by prayer and supplication with the next one is thanksgiving. So this is the third level of prayer, which is gratitude. It says gratitude, actually grateful language. Right? Now, grateful language goes a long ways. You might have talked about this yesterday, especially where it's concerned with your man. Men are made in the image of Yah. What does that mean? We talked about that a few weeks back. Yah, let me read it first, then I'm going to break it down. Okay? O thou that inhabitest the praises of Israel. Okay, Psalms 22 and 3. That's the one I want. Okay, Psalms 22 and 3. Let's go there real quick. Psalms 22 and 3. This is bonus footage. 22 and 3. Okay, let's start at verse 1. Okay, start at verse 1. All right. Let's do it in the Restored Names version. My Yah, why hast thou forsaken me? Why art thou so far from helping me and from the words of my roaring? How many of us have ever felt like that? Raise your hand. Don't lie to yourself. You felt forsaken. You felt forsaken on your job. You felt forsaken in your marriage. You felt forsaken by your children. You felt forsaken by your siblings, right? You felt forsaken by just life, right? Have we all felt that? Raise your hand if you're sure. All right. So you say, why hast thou forsaken me, right? And why art thou so far from helping me? I have a need, y'all. I've been praying for this thing, for the past 5, 10, 15. I'm getting tired, just tired. I can't take it no more. I'm ready to give up and quit. Right? I'm bringing it home. We all have felt that, right? All right, let's go on. Why are you so far from helping me and from the words of my roaring? That's what I'm saying. I was being dramatical, but that's roaring. You crying and boo-hooing and going ballistic and everything. Okay. Oh, my Elohim, right? I cry in the daytime, but you hear not. I'm crying, but you seem like you ain't hearing, so you hear not. And in the night season, right? In the night season, what's the night season? When you're going through whatever you're going through, when you're going through your trauma, when everything is upside down. That's your night season, right? You're going through the night season, and he says, and I am silent. And in the night season, when I am silent, I done ran out of words to say. I done ran out of prayers to pray. I done ran out of songs to sing. I'm just sitting here, I just don't know. Y'all just don't know what I've been going through, right? That night season and that silent season, watch this now, is when the revelation kicks in, right? Who was that? The prophet said it wasn't in the thunder, right? But it was in a still, small voice. You can't hear a still, small voice as long as you're talking. But when you get quiet, you can hear. You ever sometimes be sitting in a room and just sit in the room quiet. Nothing playing, no TV, no radio, no music, nothing. Just sitting in the room and you hear that small, still voice. And a peace will come over you like unreal, right? I got to get back to Philippians 4, close it out. Okay, so this is the bonus footage. All right, now. So it's in that moment that the revelation hits, and then you say, but thou art Kodesh, O thou that inhabitest the praises of Israel. Now underline that phrase, praises. See, because Yah inhabits the praises, right? Praises is like not just singing songs of adoration, but praises meaning that you're doing that which pleases the Father, right? That you're walking in love and you're walking in obedience and you're walking in teaching others the ways of Yah, right? I will teach transgressors thy way. And when you teach Yah, it's like a storm. All of your praises are being evaporated up into the cloud where Yah is. And when all the evaporation of condensation on the earth goes up into the clouds, and then the clouds get heavy, then comes the thunderstorm, the rain. This rains down on the ground, and everything that's planted in the ground from the praises that went up from your pain and your suffering, your struggle, has gone up into the clouds. And then when the clouds gets weighted, that's what kabod means. The glory, the kabod, the splendor of Yah is the weight. It gets so heavy from praise that when your praises go up, that cloud has to release that rain. And that rain goes down into the ground, and everything you planted now starts to germinate and starts to produce. Life comes to pass now because why? Your prayers went up, right? Your thanksgiving went up, right? Your praises went up, right? And it caused something to happen in the stratosphere and brought it down to the hemisphere, into your atmosphere. And you see the fulfillment of your prayers and of your praise and of your thanksgiving coming to pass. Why? Because you sent up a sweet smelling savor unto Yah, right? Let's finish this out. He said, our fathers trusted in thee. They trusted, and thou did deliver them. They cried unto thee and were delivered. They trusted in thee and were not confounded. But I am a worm, and no man reproach of men, and despise of people. And they that see me laugh me to scorn. They shoot out the lip. They shake their head, saying, he trusted Yah, that he would deliver him. Let him deliver him, seeing he delighted in him. But thou art he that took me out of the womb. Thou didst make me hope when I was upon my mother's breast. I was cast upon thee from the womb. Thou art my El from my mother's belly. Be not far from me, for trouble is near, for there is none to help. Many bulls have compassed me. Strong bulls of Bashan have beset around. They gape upon me with their mouths as raving and roaring lions. I am poured out like water, and all my bones are out of the joint. My heart is like wax, is melted in the midst of my bowels. My strength is dried up. Okay? Now, let's skip down here. Okay? So we're going through all of this. He says here goes the kicker. He says, verse 19, But be not thou far from me, O Yahweh, O my strength. Taste thee to help me. Deliver my soul from the sword, my darling from the power of the dog. Save me from the lion's mouth, for thou hast heard me from the horns of thy unicorns. And I will declare thy name unto my brethren. In the midst of the congregation will I praise thee. Yea, ye that fear Yah, praise him. All ye seed of Jacob, esteem him and fear him, and you seed of Israel. For he have not despised nor abhorred the affliction of the afflicted, neither have he hid his face from him, but when he cried unto him, he heard. My praises shall be of thee in the great congregation, and I will pay my vows before them that fear him.
The meek shall eat, here it is, and be satisfied. And they shall praise Yah that seek him. Your heart shall live forever. And all the ends of the world shall remember and turn to Yah, and all the kindreds of the nations shall worship before thee. For the kingdom is Yah's, and he is the governor among the nations. All they that be fat upon the earth shall eat and worship. All they that go down to the dust shall bow before him, and none can keep alive his own soul. A seed shall serve him. It shall be accounted to Yah for a generation, and they shall come and shall declare his righteousness unto a people that shall be born, that he have done this. So that's the revelation of that. In knowing that in the praises of Israel, Yah inhabits the praises, and the blessings of Yah comes down. Now, Yah made man in his image, so when our wives praise our husband, right, it's in the nature that the blessings comes down upon the household. That's bonus footage, right? Now, let's go back to Philippians and close it out. So we know we just shared that. He said, be careful for nothing, everything that by prayer, supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known unto Yah. And the peace of Yah. So when we do that, when we offer unto Yah the three levels we talked about, prayer, supplication, and thanksgiving, the three levels, the three that we only shared in this particular sharing, right? The three levels: prayer, worship, thanksgiving, right? Words of affirmation or words of kind words. That's what it was defined as, right? Kind words, right? When is the last time you said a kind word to your husband? That's what we're made of. We're made of the image of the Father Yah, which makes us respond to praise. And even children, when children, get angry with your father, you no good, daddy. Mama said you was no good. You're not gonna get nothing. Try it sometimes and watch it happen. Say something to that man. Honey, you're a good husband. I see you working. I see you dedicated and diligent. I'm so glad I married you. It's a law that works. That's how we're made. Made in his image, right? That's exactly what that means. Okay, now, when you think about it, sometimes sisters be like, how did an ugly sister get that man? She learned the secret. She might be ugly on the physical exterior, but she learned how to receive from that man, right? All right, so that's the extension of the bonus, right? Let's go back in, all right? So with that, after we have the prayer, the worship, and the prayer and the supplication and the thanksgiving, and we made our request. So we got prayer, supplication, thanksgiving, and request. So that's 4 in that one verse there. Okay. Now, the peace of Yah, which passeth all, not some, but all. So when we commit it, see, emotion don't want to let go. I learned this in the Word of Faith when I was in the Word of Faith church. You keep praying something over and over again, you're not praying in, as we learn in the Word of Faith, you're not praying in faith. You're praying wavering. But when you pray, that's it. You go into you worshiped, right? Then you offered Yah your petition, supplication, right? Now you offer him thanksgiving, right? Words of affirmation, words of what? Words, kind words. Even though your situation hasn't changed, you still offering Yah by belief kind words because you are expecting a result to take place. Right? Because that's your request. Huh? And when you have those four operation, leave it. Ricky smile, you say, leave it. Leave it. And then because with that, that's where your confidence is in, and therefore your peace is hinged upon you committing it to Yah and leaving it there, not carrying it no longer. When you're carrying it, you haven't left it in Yah's hand. But when you continuously carrying it and every morning you're praying about it, you haven't committed it to Yah, and you're going to lose your peace. You don't want to be on the verge of having a nervous breakdown because you carrying it. Right? Cast your cares upon Yah. Once you pray it, he knows what you have need and desire of. You committed it. You submitted it. You came with the right spirit. And you into his gates with thanksgiving and into his courts with praise, right? And you were thankful unto him and you bless his name, right? All that he promised. Stay in peace, right? Because he said what? He says, the peace of Yah, which passeth all comprehension. How a person can't comprehend how things are the way they are, but yet you still have peace. Sometimes you don't know what to do, but just living in that peace is giving you a chance to be in the holding path. It's like a plane that's trying to land into the city, into the airport, but this inclement weather that's prohibiting them from landing the plane. So when you going around, there's all kinds of chaotic conditions down on the surface level, right? But you up in the altitude, right? Because your prayer of ascension, your prayer of attitude has taken you to an altitude where you are above, where all the trouble is, where you're circling around waiting to land into that runway. Right? That's the peace. Because you know, oh, we're going to land this plane. I'm just waiting for the ground to get ready. Then all of a sudden you hear on the intercom, dong, dong. This is the captain. We've just been given the go ahead to make our first initial approach. We ask all the flight attendants to please make sure that all the trays are lifted, seat trays are back, whatever. ... Thank you for flying Southwest Airlines. Then all of a sudden, you like, everybody's happy now. That plane goes, welcome to Baltimore. Thank you for flying with us. We see you. Hopefully you have a good, enjoyable stay. We'll see you on the next flight, right? That's how the spirit is. It's like that. You're going around waiting for that answer from the Ruach It's okay now to land that plane. You're going down for landing, right? So the peace of Yah, right, that passes all comprehension will keep your heart, right? You won't have a heart attack, right? and you won't have a brain stroke, right? Because the peace that Yah gives you will empower you to prevent you from having a heart attack and having a brain stroke because you're stressed out over things that you should have committed to Yah. Right? The peace of Yah, which passeth all comprehension, shall keep your heart and minds through the Messiah, YAHSHUWAH. Right? Now, how do we do that? In case somebody missed it and didn't get it, because why? You hold the power to create a climate conducive to peace, even in a chaotic situation, because why? You already know the result. You already know the outcome. Because why? You know what Yah said. You know what Yah promised. You know how the laws of Yah operates. And if I continue to hold fast to that in which I profess, I'm going to see my desired result. I'm going to continue to press towards the mark for the prize of the high calling, right, of Yah, which is in YAHSHUWAH. Why YAHSHUWAH? Because YAHSHUWAH was an example of all of that. So he humbled himself unto death, right? And it was given him a name that is above every name. So in that millennial kingdom, he's going to have the highest seat, right? The Prince of Peace. See, that's the answer to the riddle. We say, who's the Prince? The Prince of Peace. The man YAHSHUWAH, the son of David, Dawid. All right, now, the peace to pass all comprehension shall keep your hearts and minds through Yahshua the Messiah. Here's how you do it, right? Verse 8. I'm going to wrap it up here. Finally, my brethren, whatsoever things are true, okay? Whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, and if there be any virtue, and if there be any praise, think on these things. What things? Those things which you have received, right? Those things which you have both learned and received and heard and seen in me, do, and the Elohim or Yah of peace shall be with you. See that? That's it. Learn the ways of Yah. And if you learn the ways of Yah and operate as Yah has ordained you to operate, right, you will see the end result. Regardless of what anybody says, you will see the end result. So, brothers and sisters, that's all I have for today. Prayerfully, you all got something out of this sharing. I haven't had a chance to look at the message board to see if there's any new. So let me look right quick here. A coach, Sherry, said this is some powerful teaching. At Atara, Atara said I've had that happen to me. So since I wasn't looking at the comments, I don't know what specifically that was. Let me see. Hold on a second here. Okay. vocab got these ex-Israelite 12 sisters testifying on their issue who threw them out with the children. Oh yeah, absolutely, Israelite. Cooking for Dummies. Boy, I really needed to hear this lesson. Hallelujah. Thank you, Moray. Oh, told everybody. Baruch Shabbat, I'm sorry, I meant to say that. Baruch Shabbat, Moray, Josiah, and Coach Tom and Leah, Princess Leah, they on the way back from Chicago. And the coach, who's that? She said I'm funny. The coach Sherry said I'm funny. Great teaching lesson, especially Psalms 22 and Philippians 4. I told everybody, I'm glad you enjoyed that, my brother Kima. Baruch, Zakeem, Preston. Good to see you, my brother. Haven't thought about you this week. Good to see you, my brother. Pray all is well with you and the Mishpah Khan there. Coach Catherine said, wonderful lesson, Moray. Told everybody. Coach Kanaya said, great teaching, Moray. Okay. All right, so you've seen enough. All right, we're going to go ahead and close out. And so we'll see you all again next Shabbat. And prayerfully, you all have a great week. And we'll look forward to fellowshipping again. So, Father, we thank and praise you for all those that have joined with us on this live stream. We thank you for those that will come later on to this channel to view the lesson that you've given us to share. And for those that will not come in contact with this channel at all, we pray that the peace of Yah that passes all comprehension to keep the hearts and minds of Yahshua the Messiah, that the peace will remain in the homes, that you will give us direction and give us the ability or the desire to just hold fast, stand firm, and holding out to see the desired results. As we leave this place but not from your presence, we pray that the peace be with us, the peace of Yah that passes all comprehension, keep our hearts and minds to Yahshua the Messiah. We say hallelujah, 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 Todah Yah, amen. All right, brothers and sisters, love y'all with the love of Yah, and we shall see you all again at the appointed time. Shalom, shalom, shalom.